My dear friends, I hope this finds you well. This week in the diaspora, we are of course reading from Parshat Shlach, and Parshat Shlach is one of the most tragic parshiot in the entire Torah. It of course speaks of the sin of the spies, when 12 spies were sent into the land of Israel before the Jewish people went in, and 10 spies came back with a negative report, a damning report. And this negative report had drastic consequences on the Jewish people, and of course led to them being punished in dramatic fashion, having to travel through the desert for 40 years before they would finally be allowed to enter in. And at the end of this tragic story, at the end of Parshat Shlach, we have a series of different mitzvot. But the one that I would like to focus on is that of tzitzit. The question is, what is the connection between the story of the spies and the mitzvah of tzitzit? Well, very simply put, the spies had a self-limiting prophecy. They could not see beyond their own fear. They could not see beyond what it was that they wanted to see. They went in with an agenda and they saw that very thing in the land in front of them. And the mitzvah of tzitzit reminds us to expand our vision. Because we are of course taught that on the mitzvot, on the tzitzit, we look at them, uritem oto, you shall see him, uritem oto, you shall see it, see the tzitzit, and see that there is techelet, there is a blue dye that's placed on the strings. And the blue dye comes from a snail, the trunculix, I think is what it is called, although there's been much debate around what it actually is, but the Patil Techelet believes that they've found it, and so we believe we have brought back what the actual dye is that makes this blue color. And the purpose of the blue on the tzitzit, we are told in the Gemara, is that when we look at the blue, we think of the ocean. And when we think of the ocean, we think of the heavens, of the sky. When we think of the sky, then we think of the sapphire stone underneath the throne of God. So the purpose of the mitzvot, and this mitzvah, tzitzit, is to expand our vision. Even on such a small thing, we look at it and then we expand our vision and think of creation. Think of how massive this world is, but then go even bigger and far beyond, more transcendent to God. And so it is the mitzvah of tzitzit which represents a transition that we must make after tragedy, and that we must really make every day. Not to limit our vision, but rather to expand it. To seek out meaningful, transcendent experiences every single day. And this is all the more so important today when there's so much sickness in the way in which we look, the way in which we see. So much sickness. So many people look skin deep all the time. In all of the different ways that means, what that means and what that represents. So much superficiality. The answer, there are many answers. There's many things that I think we must do. But I think one of the most important things that we're being asked to do is to commit ourselves deeply to seeking out meaningful, transcendent experiences in the everyday. Not to leave it to once a week, not to leave it to next month, but right now, to move beyond, to see not what we think we see, but to see the truth of reality by going big in order to come back and see God in everything, in every detail, in every person. This is our great challenge today. And so I think, once again, as we've been saying over and over again, we have a great responsibility to stand up today. To stand up or to sit down in a meaningful way. to seek out meaningful, transcendent spiritual experiences that expand our understanding of reality, that allow us to connect to the truth of God, allow us our actions not to be dictated by fear, but by a love of God and love of all of creation. This is really what's being asked of us, to meditate upon these strings, to meditate upon these ideas, to go deep, to go beyond, so that we can go within, so that we can be present with the things that really matter. This is a tall order, but my dear friends, I think we can do it. This is what's being asked of us in this moment. Shabbat Shalom.